All right, let's go. So, welcome to another episode, a new one of eCom Raw Reality, where we talk all things e-commerce, Shopify, Meta ads, Google ads, CRO, email, and SMMA. Because basically, what I do is I have a marketing agency and working with e-commerce brands. So I have both points of view here as someone who is also into e-com, but also has an agency. So let's talk about lifetime value here, because it's one of the most important metrics, I would say. This is a very long-term metric usually, because think of it like this. If you even meet someone, right, in real life, you might meet when you're like 7 years old, and you might still be in contact with that person 20 years later, at 27 years old, right? And in eCom and SMMA, to make the analogy here, you could sell someone something today, and you might sell them something again in maybe 1 month, in maybe 3 months, in maybe 5 years from now. And that's because basically they've already had an experience with you. If they've had a good one, they'll definitely come back. And thinking in terms of lifetime value, right? The value of a customer, basically, I won't try to oversimplify it, because I mean, if you're watching this channel, you probably know what lifetime value is, right? It's the value of a customer over time. Like if someone buys, let's give an example here, even a Coke. If they buy a Coke, how much does it cost? A 2-liter one. Let's just say for the example here, €2, right? €2 isn't going to make Coca-Cola rich, right? Even though €2 from you, €2 from me, and so on, or USD, right? Dollars. But the thing is that you won't buy just one. You'll buy maybe 3 a week. That's a possibility. So that means $6. Or you might buy 100 in a year. And how much is that? It's $200 in a year. That's how you spend on Coke, Pepsi, whatever, right? Just giving simple examples here. And I want to give this example both in eCom and in SMMA, because, for example, yesterday I just closed someone who basically is the smallest client right now that I'll have for the agency, the smallest brand. And I lowered my price more than usual, right? Because, for example, I would never really go under 2K or 3K, depending on the complexity and everything. But this time I did go slightly lower for at least the 2 months, right? And why is that, right? Because I mean, I don't feel like it's worth it, because as you can imagine, if you're a doctor, if you're whatever you're doing, you can't really undercharge yourself too much. Otherwise, you just won't make money, or you won't make the money that you could do, right? So there's an opportunity cost there. However, the main thing is lifetime value, because yeah, they will pay a lower amount on a monthly basis and in the beginning. However, the lifetime value will be most likely, or could be over time, 10K plus, you know? And whatever business you're in, if you get around 10K from a business or from a customer, whatever you're selling, then that's still a significant amount, right? Depending on your costs of the business and so on. So I wanted to touch on that, because even with e-com brands, sometimes you have to decide, what are you actually focusing on? Are you actually focusing on getting as much profit as possible on that first purchase? So for example, your product costs $100, and the question is, how much are you willing to pay for that customer? Are you willing to pay just like $20 because they won't ever buy again, so you need to make that money right there and then? Or actually, how many businesses actually do it when they're in growth mode and they have a good repeat customer rate and a good lifetime value? They actually pay for someone who basically gives them $100. They might pay $100, so they make no money. They actually lose, because you have to pay for the cost of goods, the product that you sell. So basically, think of it like this. How much are you willing to pay and why? Because as an example, if I would give you, let's say, $500 to jump on a call with me, would you do it? Now it depends for what reason, right? But I gave that example of giving you money to jump on a call because if you look at many agencies, they are willing to pay through paid ads to get on a call with someone, right? They want to have ads so that someone can book a call in their calendar, and they know that they will have to pay around $200, $300 for every call that they have, right? So basically here you can do the math. And if it's actually cheaper to just like pay someone to jump on a call with you than paying Meta and Zuckerberg, then it would make sense that you would do it, right? So coming back to lifetime value, this is where it's super important to know exactly how much money can you make from a customer, a client in SMMA or in e-commerce. Because if you have a product that people have to buy again and again, a consumable, such as a drink, as a supplement, and that's why there are so many supplements and so many brands like this out there, because if someone has to buy again and again, you have more wiggle room with the cost to acquire them. That's why you'll actually lose money sometimes to acquire a customer, because you know they will stay. And to some extent, it's just like, I don't know, let's say dating or something that's like more personal. Why would you actually like pay for someone else, right? You pay because you know to some extent, and I don't want to make this transactional, but you know that you'll get some benefits in return, right? Meaning that you'll have caring, love, a partner, whatever you, or how you want to frame it, right? And that's why it's super important to know some of these numbers, because like I said, I've just started working with a brand and it's the smallest that I'm working with. So I also need to help them with this type of metrics, like what's the CAC that we can have when we acquire a customer? Can we pay $20, $40, $50? Because the higher the number, the easier it is even for me to spend more on ads and still get a return. So that's why in terms of lifetime value, I would definitely focus a lot on this question and just think about it, because even for myself, I would rather undercharge for a specific period of time just to make sure that over time I make more. Because think of it like this: you charge someone, let's say $3K a month for your service, and because you overcharge them to some extent, they'll just pay for 2 months. So you'll make in 2 months $6K. But if you charge them $2K, which is probably more convenient for them, it's not so huge of a cost, right? 43% less. And if you do that, you might keep them for, let's say, 4 months. And basically 4 months multiplied by 2K, that comes to 8K. So you make 8K in 4 months rather than 6K in 2 months. It's true, there's a time component here as well, so you do need to take that into account. But with all of that being said, it's still about how much you're actually making, right? Because I mean, no one cares if you make some money faster or slower. I mean, if you want to buy a house might be, let's say for example purposes here, 200K, right? You have to pay that 200K. It doesn't even matter if it's faster, if it's slower, and so on, right? And this is where you actually need to do the math and make sure that you pretty much know what you want. Do you want to make more money, or do you just want to get, let's say, some revenue faster, right? So this is where it's super important to know what you want, what you need. And give me a second here, because I actually know someone, so I will just let them know. So Coming back to what I was saying, the most important thing, in my opinion, is just making sure you know your numbers, and eventually you're able to just do what you prefer. Like, do you want to make more money, or do you just want to move fast and break things? Because both of them can work, but after all, you do want to maximize whatever you're after, right? And in most cases, I would say for most people, it's probably just making more, right? So just want to make that as clear as possible. And with all of that being said, I think I've yapped enough about lifetime value and so on, and sharing my thoughts, because as you can see, it's always better if you can actually walk through your thought process and know exactly like why are you doing what you're doing. So for example, I had to lower my price because I know that would actually make me more in the long run. And it's the same in eCom. You have to decide how much are you willing to spend for someone to actually acquire them as a customer, and how long do you think that you can sell to that person. And it also depends on what you're selling. So with that being said, don't want to be way too long-winded here, so we'll end it with that. And if you enjoyed it, you can leave a like, a comment, and until next time, peace out.